Hey everybody, welcome back. Today, we're diving into something that hits home for so many of us, especially those in California, the California housing crisis. It's a huge issue. It's impacting families, communities, and futures. But don't worry, we're here to break it down. What's happening? Why does it matter? How can we tackle it? So grab a coffee, stay tuned, and let's dive right in.
Absolutely, we're going to explore some intriguing insights from Nolan, a policy expert at California YIMBY, and Jim Reichheimer, the former mayor of Costa Mesa and a developer too.
Right, and this discussion is featured on Epoch TV's California Insider. I think we can all agree that California is really expensive, especially along the coast.
But why is that? Is it just because of the nice weather and beautiful beaches, or is there more to it?
Great question. Let's try to unpack that.
There's definitely more to the story than just the appealing weather. You know, there's this common belief that if we just build more houses, prices will drop. More supply means lower prices. It seems simple enough in theory.
But it really isn't that straightforward, right?
Exactly. Nolan actually compares it to the prisoner's dilemma in terms of housing.
Interesting. Can you elaborate on that?
Sure. So, imagine you're at a concert. It's packed, and when the show ends, everyone rushes to leave through just one exit.
A huge bottleneck, right?
Exactly. No one really gets out any faster. Now consider a situation where one city in California decides to build a lot of new apartments or houses.
But neighboring cities don't build at all?
Right. So now you have this one area with a ton of housing that attracts more people, but the overall supply in the entire region hasn't really increased much.
So it's just shifting the problem around?
Precisely. Demand goes up, supply doesn't really keep up, and that city could actually become less affordable.
That sounds frustrating. So, what's the solution? Gray suggests that the state should step in to encourage or even mandate more housing construction across various regions.
That seems logical. But how would that work in practice? That's the big question. It's a significant political challenge because local politicians have to respond to their voters.
And often, voters aren't in favor of more housing being built near them.
Exactly. You've probably heard of NIMBY.
NIMBY? Yeah, but I'm not entirely sure what it means.
It stands for Not in My Backyard. It's this idea that while more housing might be good overall, people don't necessarily want it in their own neighborhood.
They're worried about increased traffic, overcrowded schools, and falling property values, right?
Yes. So even if more housing could help with affordability, residents often resist changes close to home.
Seems like people might want it for others, but not for themselves.
Exactly. And that resistance complicates politicians' ability to get anything accomplished.
So, is the situation hopeless? Is California destined to have an expensive housing crisis forever?
I wouldn't say it's hopeless. It's definitely a complex issue. The first step is understanding how all these different components are interconnected: local politics, statewide policies, and the desires of regular people.
So it's not just about throwing up new buildings.
Right. It's about viewing the whole picture, getting different cities to collaborate, addressing NIMBY concerns, and maybe even rethinking our entire approach to housing policy.
That's a big task, but it's not impossible.
Good point. The key takeaway is that we definitely need more housing.
But we have to do it thoughtfully and coordinate across different areas.
Exactly. Politicians need to be willing to stand strong against those NIMBY fears. It's a lot to manage.
Well, this definitely gives everyone a lot to think about. As we wrap up, here's something to ponder. If you were in charge of solving the California housing crisis, where would you even start? It's a challenging problem, but hopefully this conversation has shed some light on all the different facets involved.
Absolutely. And if you're interested in exploring more complex and fascinating issues like this one...
Oh, there are plenty of those. Just hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more deep dives.